Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset.
All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen. I'm here with Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee, and also two very special guests that are both very tired, very worn out. We have Dan Coda from the viewer's perspective on the left, and on the right, we have Kelly Cavin. All right, thank you guys for joining us. We just, within the past couple of hours, finished the 2022 Masters quarterfinal stage. And we've done a couple episodes on that when it comes to what it is. We can talk about the workouts, but we just want to give a quick shout out to all the people from CrossFit Bison that participated in the weekend. It was 5 nasty, grueling workouts in the matter of, really, we started Thursday night, so under 3 days. 5 workouts in under 3 days. A lot of stress, but also a lot of fun. It was a great group. So Sam, just give a quick list of the people that we want to give a shout out to.
This was probably the best year, and I was so psyched with everyone who participated from our gym. I think these were some of the most, awesome athletes that I've seen mentally and physically. Kelly, Dan, Jenny Lynn DeVoe, Amy Edelman, Owen Morrissey, Natalia Oliver, Elena Ramsden, Debbie Rourke, Karam Saldana, Kathleen Staunton, you and me, Dave, Kevin Yurchak, and Raina Yurchak.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep crew. And it's hard for everyone that's listening to probably really appreciate / respect the amount of people from one gym in a Masters weekend. I've seen a few gyms that have that many people split between the quarterfinal, the non-Masters, and the Masters. But to have that many people, 35 plus from one gym participate in this, it's got to be one of the most. I just think that's a really cool thing to be a part of. We were just talking about how different these athletes are. And I really do think that they kind of balance each other out so much that you have a lot of strengths and weaknesses that offset each other in that group of names right there, that if it's taken responsibly, they all push each other so much. And I think that's a big reason why I think everyone on that list should thank everyone on that list for getting to that stage, because it really does help. So Dan, Kelly, initial thoughts on the weekend. We'll give you guys, I'm going to give some, just so you don't have to be uncomfortable. I'll make you uncomfortable, but just give your quick little feedback on what you thought about the weekend. We'll dive into the workouts a little bit more specifically, but just thoughts on the weekend and anything you have to say about it.
So I guess a big part of it is getting mentally ready to do 5 workouts as hard as you possibly can in such a short amount of time. It's so different than coming in on the daily grind,
right?
The daily class. Everybody does this much volume. Normally, we all come in, 5-6 days a week, but when you're doing it at this intensity, you have to be so mentally ready for what your body's going to feel like. And, waking up this morning, I felt like a Mack truck hit me. I had to do one more workout, and I knew I had to give it all.
Yeah. Is this your second time or third time making it, fourth?
Second time making it
to the quarterfinal stage.
To the quarterfinals. Yeah. Previously, it was top 200, which I had not made. But coming into it, and especially the Open was so different. It felt so engine based, and I knew that the skills and the grind was coming, and so I was pumped for it.
Kel.
Yeah, I think it was a ton of fun. It was my first Open and subsequently quarterfinals, and
that's rare, by the way. My first Open, making the quarterfinals right away. We'll get into that.
I think there was a little bit of relief when I saw the workouts, because I thought there would be more limiting factors for me, like the heavy barbell. I knew the ring muscle ups were going to be a limiting factor, but the engine stuff was great, and it was, the group of people is just amazing, and it's some people that I get to work out with on a regular basis, and then some people that take different classes than me all the time, but I'm, I see their numbers on the boards. I know that they're people that I try to aspire to be more like, and it was great to work out next to them. Yeah,
we'll definitely dive into that as well. So just so these guys don't have to say it, Dan's background, it's funny, Dan Coda and we started CrossFit in the same fundamentals class in 2011 at CrossFit Hoboken. Like literally hey, I want to give CrossFit a shot because I want to get shredded. All right. And so when at CrossFit Hoboken, their system was you had to take 6 classes, I think over the course of 3 weeks, very instructional based, even more than we do it now. And Dan and I, who did not know each other, we both just came from opposite ends of Hoboken into CrossFit Hoboken, and we did that class 6 times in a row, and that's how we started CrossFit. And it's crazy that we're sitting here right now. Very few people from that time of my CrossFit life are still, I even talk to, very few. And one of them's here with me at this table talking about it, a decade later after a weekend, which is really cool. Dan, when you started CrossFit, did you have any inkling of like this is what it would lead to?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so interesting because, I was getting a tattoo and my tattoo artist was at CrossFit Morristown. She was a coach there. And she's like, have you heard about this CrossFit thing? I'm like, no. She's like, you should try it. You'll like it. Because before that, I was doing like Tough Mudders and I ran the New York City Marathon, which I would never do again. It was one of those things that like check the box and done. But I was always searching for something. I would go to the Global Gym and I would do my, buys and tries, but I never got fit.
Right.
And so going to that class, I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I never expected it to lead to, changing my entire life.
Yeah, right. And just pursuing this highest level. I mean, we don't want to be, we want to always remain humble, but so that's why I'll say it. But now you're one of the top 10% CrossFitters in your age group in the world. And that's like, it's incredible. And like, I remember you weren't that fit at that beginner class. You really weren't.
Do a pull-up.
And even in your first couple classes, like, I think that's important for people to know that you could not do a pull-up, right? Like, what were your pull-ups when you started off CrossFit? Was it banded or?
A banded for over a year.
Wow.
With the green band.
That's amazing, dude.
I remember my first
And now it's like
Fran.
your strength.
Yeah. I remember my first Fran was with the band. It was with 65 pounds and it took me over 11 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy, dude. It really is.
Yeah. And our very first, because Hoboken also, before doing the fundamentals, you could do a free class.
Right.
And I remember, oh man, what's her name now?
What, a coach?
Yeah.
Maris?
She was.
Caitlin Fabian?
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Caitlin. Yeah. She did butterfly pull-ups. And I saw this. I'm like, what is this witchcraft?
What's funny? So a story that I've shared on this podcast before was the first time I walked in for my first free trial class. She was also in the gym throwing up 95 pounds shoulder to overhead, like cycling it. But I didn't know that rubber plates had the same diameter. So I saw 3 plates on each side of the barbell. They're all 10s. And she's chucking up, and I'm like, that's 315. I mean, she was a beast. Like, Caitlin was one of the top female CrossFitters in that gym, if not the girl.
Yeah.
And I still talk to her every now and then on Instagram. She's a PA right now, and she was a huge deal back then. And just butterfly is strong. So keep going.
Yeah, and so after seeing that, I was like, I want to be able to do that one day.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's such a strength of mine now, because I was so almost obsessive about like, oh, I want to do that. Like, how do you get to that level?
Right.
And I mean, it wasn't overnight for me. It was like for the first, I'd say 3 years, it was just doing CrossFit for fun, for fitness, and just to get in 3 to 4 days a week.
That's an important point. I want to talk about that real quick because I don't want to forget about it. And it's like, oh, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
For someone that has been doing CrossFit for, let's say, like 1 or 2 years, you hear this a lot. It's like, all right, now it's time for me to take it to the next level. And it might be, everyone's different. But there is a time frame where I do think it's minimum of 2 years. It's probably closer to 3, where you just need to be the normal, everyday CrossFitter, come in like intention, listen, learn. But there are so many skills in CrossFit, and you only enhance skill by doing it over and over for a long time. And a long time is not a few months, right? I think a lot of us don't really understand what is a long time. And in that long time, it needs to be consistent devotion, right? Like 12 months, 5 days a week for 12 months, not occasionally here and there, right?
Yes.
And I think that's why you are sitting here right now talking about being in the top 10%. I know that's not why you're sitting here, but like, that's a huge part of this whole system is you can't skip those steps of just being I hate to say a normal CrossFitter. I can't wait till the day I'm a normal. I really can't wait till I'm just like, I just want to show up, WOD once a day, go home. But that's how you start the process of getting to the high level is just do it for fitness for a long time.
Wait, are you setting this up because Kelly just did the first time that she was in the Open and now she's a top 10%?
So we're gonna have to throw an asterisk in there because let's move on to Kelly now, because Kelly's been with Bison for about a year, okay? And she has CrossFit experience prior to that. And she is, very athletic. We did a podcast. I wish I had the episode number in front of me, but we did on training age.
Oh, yeah.
And training age means something, right? Kelly, I know Kelly and Kyle, I played sports against Kelly's brother, and Kyle was one of the highest level athletes in our county in my age group. So, it's not, And so you have to, Kelly has a lot of those same genetics, right? And she played sports, very successful, very fit, right, person. Then she comes into CrossFit with a higher level of fitness than most people when they start, including me, right? Like she's a high, and so like Kelly, go into your background a little bit with when did you actually start to even know what CrossFit was? When was it a routine? When was it not? You have kids, like talk about that.
So for a long time, I was a regular Y boot camper with 2-pound weights and
Crushing it.
Yeah, just killing it. Not wondering why my body wasn't changing.
Were they RX or scaled?
Probably scaled. And then I met a group of moms at school. One of them was a CrossFit coach, and we started working out in her backyard. And that kind of grew. And
Approximately when was that? Just approximate.
it was probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then within like a year or two, we started at a CrossFit. It was a group of moms.
Yep.
We kind of traveled with our coach. And then COVID happened, and we worked out over Zoom in the garage.
Yep.
And that was for about a year until I got to a point where I was like, I can't self-motivate
Right,
anymore.
right.
And I need more.
You love that group
push.
environment.
Yes.
So you are looking at, Kelly was here for a year. Maybe this is the first time she was like really all in on a CrossFit program. And it's like, oh, well, she did it in a year, but you were practicing the act of CrossFit for a few years prior.
Yes.
Like what we just said Dan did. And then even before that, you were very fit, into health, fitness, boot camp, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, whatever adjectives you want to call high intensity work. Any background before that with like just like fitness, sports?
I mean, I played high school sports.
Yeah,
but that was,
right. Yeah, so you had some sort of like athletic background that kind of helps you kind of set the foundation, right? Foundation is so important, right? Or whether we're talking about aerobic capacity or just general level of fitness that leads into sport. So you were at Bison for about a year. And I remember when you started, like a lot of us were saying, all right, once she kind of figures some things out, she's going to just start crushing things because the base level conditioning was there and strong enough, skilled enough. But even now to this day, we're still working on a lot of your skills, right?
Yeah.
And what are like some of the skills that we're working on right now? We're talking about handstand push-ups, muscle ups, right? Where the physical capability is there, but the feel of the movement is not there. Just before we start talking about these actual workouts, touch on what you think helped you out the most over the previous, let's say 6 months, because I feel like that's when you really took a jump in terms like with your skill set.
I think consistency and just, I think to a credit to your programming, it's always building on certain things. So I saw
Checks in the mail.
So I saw a lot of growth when we did like the deadlift segment, and then we moved on we did back squats, things that I hadn't focused solely on in a regular program.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to your point, I've been here for a little over a year now, and especially now with the Open and the quarterfinals, it highlights the things that I really want to like break down, and like you can only kind of get to a certain point before you have to
putting a little bit more individual attention on it. Cool.
I want to say the mental aspect you could see right away. I think when you identify athletes and they're starting here, their skill sets might be at different levels, but you can identify someone just from how they approach a workout.
Great point.
How locked in they are.
Yep.
And I got to say, one of the things, you're right, everyone here that made it, very different in a lot of different approaches, but every time I watch them work out, they're so locked in.
Focused.
And that's what I love watching. And I would say Kelly probably has one of the strongest mindsets that I've seen. Like when you're like in the WOD, like you're not gonna. It's like unstoppable.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because that is probably the common denominator between everyone here is just mindset. And like Kelly will finish a WOD at 9:30 class, and she's unhappy that about her muscle up. She'll spend the next 20 minutes working on her hips to bar for the muscle up. Like that kind of thing is what kind of sets some people apart. So let's dive into the workouts, and I think we should kind of just do a quick little round robin on maybe a slight personal experience. I'll start it off with what each workout was kind of testing, and then we could just kind of go down the table. So we'll start with Kelly, then Dan, and Sam.
But I want to add first before we start. So we just logged our 5th workout scores.
Yeah, I haven't logged mine yet. Okay, we're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, a couple hours.
And everyone did great. It wouldn't be fair for me to not shout out that the fact that you're sitting 20th right now after 4. And
I was like, where's he going with this?
no, seriously. And depending on how you do on this last one, like you might be in the top 30, which allows you to get to the semifinals.
And just so everyone knows, like it takes them a week to finalize
the video submissions and evaluate all that. And you're in the 35 to 39, so they're going to look at that one very carefully.
Yes.
You got some big names in there. Austin Malleolo, Sam Dancer, like Frederick. How do you
Agidius?
Agidius.
You know what? I just call him Annie's husband.
That's cold. There's
I would love to meet him.
Yeah, these are some high-profile athletes. So before we start with this, I want to know how you felt about doing this, because that's an extra level of pressure right there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's funny. I've been through a lot of like pressure situations with CrossFit, whether it's external or internal. Like I always put pressure on myself, but I feel good. I don't know how else to say it. Like I feel good that like when I see my name among some of those guys that I've been like looking up to since 2011, 2012, it's like it's almost surreal. But I also know at the same time it grounds you a little bit that I've always said this about myself as an athlete. I need programming to be a certain way. And I'm okay. And a lot of athletes are like that. Like you very rarely find unicorns that no matter what the programming is, they're going to be up there. Sam Dancer is one of them. No matter what you throw at him, he'll be up there. That's not the case with me. So when I saw the workouts come out on Thursday, I just gave them a quick look before we all started talking about them. I'm like, okay, it's possible. Where at this time last year, when it literally was the worst possible combination of workouts you could throw my way. Like it wasn't one of my weaknesses. It was, my biggest strengths were not in the workouts. My biggest weaknesses were in all the workouts, right? And this year it kind of went the other way. So, I definitely feel good about where I'm at. But I also have seen this song and dance before that people that celebrate too early are the ones that end up losing.
I understand. But I got to say, your progress from last year to this year, it's another level.
So we talked about this. We'll talk about this on another podcast, but I was at a weird place last year. I had a rough winter last year. I mean, no excuses. It was just a rough time. And I talked to multiple people. It was after the qualifier that I took a month, and I recommend a lot of people do this. I just told a lot of my next level athletes, like, yo, sit and think for a month, because sometimes your true emotion after your period is over is not real. Like you got to wait a month, let it simmer. So I waited a month. I did this cleanse where I didn't eat for a week, gave my digestive system, like kind of help repair my body a little bit. Talked to a lot of people I look up to and just asked them for what their opinion on was what I was did. Because all of us should always be seeking outside help. And we should all be doing that.
Coaching, mentoring.
We should all be doing it. Yeah. If you're not, you're doing something wrong. So I just went to a lot of people that had different perspectives and backgrounds, and you were one of them, Sam. And I just said, all right, these next 11 months, I'm all in, and it might be it. Might be my life is really hard with juggling different jobs, kids, wife, right? Training takes a lot out of other areas. It just does. And it's one of the first things I tell someone that says hey, I want to go to the next stage. I'm like, okay, what are you sacrificing? If your answer is nothing, it's not going to work. If you really want to go all in on something and try to be in this stage, top 30, you have to make changes. And so
I think you did it your way, though. You synthesized a lot of this into something that was right for you.
For sure.
And specific to you, which I think you weren't following a cookie cutter or just exactly what someone else was telling you to do. Right. You took all this input and you sort of figured out how to make it work for you this year.
There's no substitute for experience. I have failed so many times in this sport. I'm embarrassed by how many times I failed, but I'm big on, just make your mind up on what you want to do with your life and just go for it, so, but let's talk about the workouts now. So workout number 1 was
3 rounds for time.
Oh, Sam's got them. Cool.
20 toes to bar, 20 alternating dumbbell snatches.
At
50 pounds for women and then 70 for men, time cap 10 minutes.
It's funny that we all kind of thought that's what it would be. We did think it would be dumbbell clean and jerk, right? I thought it would be just because we did dumbbell snatch in the open, but that was a very different dumbbell snatch. So my initial thought on that workout was for the elite, it's how fast can you go? And then when you're talking about making the semifinal stage, it's how fast can you go? It's not can you go unbroken, how fast can you go, right? And then for everyone, for most people, it comes down to the dumbbell for most people, I would think. Even people that I've talked to that are strong but not so strong in the rig still said it was the dumbbell. So, Kel, real quick, have you ever used a 50-pound dumbbell with that motion in a workout?
No.
Wow.
So how did you approach this workout when you looked at it?
I think pacing was the biggest, taking breaks. I think I've had to adjust my mindset over the year to learn that that's not a bad thing and
Right.
that it's not going to cost me time in the end if I do, 5 at a time and take a few seconds in between each versus doing 15 and then standing there for 30 seconds. So for me, it was definitely breaking up the snatches and even the toes to bar. After I've said this, my brother Kyle is like he's a pacer. He's like, he counts reps, and he was there, and he was in my head the whole time. Like, he would be mad at me if I didn't break this up sooner. And I don't want to make him mad.
And your toes to bar are really good. Like, you have great toes to bar. So the fact that you break them up meant
It's good mental discipline there.
you were disciplined about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I think, key to just getting through it, because especially in that last round, locking out was starting to get really challenging, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of getting through it.
Yeah. Awesome. Dan,
Yeah, I would say that
you use the 70 in training sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do, and we had it in Legends, I think,
Yep.
last year for a qualifier. So I have it at home. I play with it a lot.
Yeah,
So
good.
I wasn't shocked by the weight. I think that, like you're saying, programming makes a huge difference per athlete. And the 3 out of the 5 workouts for me were really good. This being one of them.
Yeah, you did really well on this one.
Yeah, my Toda bar is definitely like my superpower, I would say. Like I'll go all day on a Toda bar.
That's probably your best movement. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really, and we had discussed, there's nothing to lose in this qualifier. Just go all
Yeah,
in.
just
and,
go
and,
all in.
You know, there's no need to pace, especially in this. This was a sprint for me. I went unbroken for all the Toda bar except for the last one. I did 10.55 because I just lost my midline at that
Right,
point.
yeah.
But the dumbbell snatch was a mental grind, and it was just hold on.
Yeah.
Just hold on.
Were you able to? Did you go into any of those unbroken?
I did all the dumbbell snatch unbroken.
awesome.
Yeah, this was my best finish so far ever in a qualifier.
Awesome, dude.
And yeah, it felt good.
That's really good, dude. Yeah, that's good. That was like a kind of like a fun way. I mean, we'll talk about what we did first later on, but that was a fun first night because we all lifted before, but that was, or most of us did. That was just a fun Thursday night workout because it wasn't long, and you were beat up after, like Fran lung, but nothing was like mangled after that.
Right.
And then event 2 came. But Sam, event 1, thoughts?
Yeah, so I watched these guys do it Thursday night, and
That's a good point. Yeah,
I
you
took
did
a
Friday
lot because I was working late on Thursday. Like we all have jobs, we
Yeah.
all have families. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
When you watch everyone,
It's tough. It
like
really is.
the fact that we're all just regular people living lives, and then we're trying to mix the sport into it.
I would even tell people that if it's a goal of yours, that should be part of your anticipation, that if you can clear something out of the schedule, whether it's a day off work, I mean, that's different for everyone, or just anticipate that it's going to be a stressful weekend with a lot of, activities involved.
I mean, just seeing all the different athletes do, like, try to make the most arrangements, and then some of
Right.
them just were forced to really work out multiple times in multiple short periods was really challenging.
Yeah.
But I got, here Thursday late, and so I watched them. I took some ideas from them, and then I did it Friday. I did take Friday off.
What are your ideas that you took from people?
Well, it really depended on people's strengths. So I saw Kelly's toes to bar and how good she was, but then how she broke them up.
Right.
Like the elite guys, if you're really good at both, you're just gonna go ham on that. So for me, 70 is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavier on my left side. My right is much stronger than my left, and my toes to bar are like, moderate, mediocre. So I said, well, I'm going to try to break them up at the beginning, and if I have anything left in the third round, I'll just go for it. Because I saw Amy Edelman just go ham on that last round of dumbbell snatches, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I said, if I
She
could
can pull weight, that girl.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God. So I was like, all right, so that's what I'll do. So I went 5.55s for the first 2 rounds, and then I tried to go ham at the end, but my left side, and you saw some of the athletes on Thursday, like literally like that, like you said, locking out and just that buckling of that heavy weight, really hard.
Were you able to transition in the air on the way down, or did you have to switch at the bottom?
Not a problem transitioning. It's that sort of
Coming up
with it,
Yeah.
smooth, like
Got it.
keeping that dumbbell really close.
Yep.
All of that stuff. It just gets a little tiring. I did decent and I was happy enough, but it was a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so
How about for you?
I mean, that was, the strength workout for mine, I would say if there's 3 movements that I feel most comfortable with, 2 of them are toes bar and dumbbell snatch. So I just went as hard as I could. I was a little surprised. The grip was a little gnarly on the last set of toes bar. Like my fingers started to fall off. So I did break up the last set of toes bar, I think 15.5 or 14.6, something like that. Dumbbell snatches unbroken, but I felt like I did Fran right after. Like that's what I was feeling like. Just like did not want to do a thing after, because we lifted before. And it was a fun workout though. I just had fun doing that one. I just didn't think there was anything in there that was gonna like crush us, and I knew that like we were gonna feel okay the next day. So I was like, let's see what you got.
The good tip that you've mentioned is when you're on that bar and you're kind of you use grips and I use grips where you kind of hang them off, and you have said in class like get your wrists over it so that you're not gripping so much.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, like that's one thing I'm trying to get people to get on is when you are on the rig, and it's easier with some movements than others. Toes bar, it's easier. Or instead of just grabbing the bar and feeling like it's in your fingers, try to get it in your palm so your hand's over the bar. You do need some wrist flexion strength. That's something people train.
Yeah.
But give it a shot because you do feel like you're just much more secure. You get better muscle activation when you're trying to get
less tired on your grip.
Yes. Yep. So cool. That was workout 1. I also, I also just want to give a shout out to some of the athletes from our gym, but also out there, if you guys are listening to this and you did it or you saw other people do it, there are so many CrossFitters that it's the first time they've ever done a workout with that kind of dumbbell before, and they respond so much better than they think. And I think it's something to think about. Like if that workout was with a letter dumbbell, 50 guys, 35 girls, and it was 30 dumbbell snatches, right? More than 20. You wouldn't freak out that much about it, right? Like, it's going to go do 30 unbroken. You should just do some of the quick math in your head that if you're comfortable doing 30, 40, 50, 60 dumbbell snatches unbroken, you're fine to try to do 10 to 15 with the 70-50. You have to know that. And like it's almost like using a heavy wall ball. Like sometimes on the way down, it feels worse than on the way up. So there's like some skill acquisition there. But I do think, I still remember there was a day we did this workout, we were still wearing masks, and it started off with 60 dumbbell snatches. It was a sprint workout, sprint chipper.
Yeah. And
we challenged the entire gym, 60 dumbbell snatches. Let's see who can do it unbroken. And I think 95% of the gym did 60 dumbbell snatches in a row. And none of them are, most of them have never done more than 15 to 20. And sometimes you need to be put in that environment where it's like, you know what, I can do this. And like, that's what I was just proud of watching. Like just watching some of these athletes like Kat and Deb just toss that 50 around.
Yeah.
And everyone gets tired at some point.
Yeah.
But you can toss it around.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool thing. Event 2, by far the worst.
Yeah. For time, 50 overhead squats.
At 95-65.
95-65. 40 bar facing burpees, 40 back rack walking lunges, 30 bar facing burpees, 30 cleans, 20 bar facing burpees, 20 single leg squats, pistols, and then 10 ring muscle ups. Time cap 20 minutes.
And know what's awesome about that workout? CrossFit Bison's WOD on Friday is that workout.
Dude, I saw that and I was like, you are inflicting a lot of pain. A lot of pain.
Once they leave Friday, like, see you Monday, guys. Vivian sent me a message and she goes, why would you make us do that? And I said, we all bleed as one.
I want to see who shows up on Friday.
Yeah. So that workout, definitely when I saw that, I said, that's going to be the hardest just like feeling workout of the weekend. Like whether your strengths are this or that, that's the hardest one. When you combine, engine, feeling of the muscles, skill, So Kel, how'd you do on that one?
That one, I knew the ring muscle ups I wasn't going to be able to do them, or I could give them a shot, but I was happy to see that they were at the end. So
right.
that I could accumulate reps beforehand. I was afraid they were going to be mixed in, and it was just going to kind of knock me out. So that was just keep moving. Mm-hmm.
Which is one of your strengths.
The lunges.
You have a good engine.
The lunges were like, I wanted to put it down, but I just stopped and breathed and kept going because
I think that was smart. Unless it's front rack is sometimes it is an advantage to put it down. But if you ever have like a back rack lunge in a workout and it's not that heavy, don't ever put it down. There's no point because you can take a rest and it's not going to help. Mm-hmm. Like the second you pick it up, it's going to feel the same thing. So if anyone ever sees a back rack lunge in a workout that isn't too heavy, stay on it.
I've never been so happy to see pistols. They felt so good after all the lunges and squats.
Yeah,
so those were like just once we got through everything else.
It's something to keep in mind because I've been here before. I've had bad history with pistols, but a lot of athletes don't understand the value of a good warm-up for pistols. And when we do pistols at Bison, I usually make my classes do a lot. Like, and I always get these like, girl, dude, really? Like, do we have to do this? I'm like, A, shut up. B, let's burn some calories. But C, you want to feel good when you get to the pistols because it really is a really demanding movement on so many different joints and muscles that if you just have a lot of blood rushing through those muscles, it's a different movement.
Yeah.
So
and it felt
that's a
good
good
to
point.
get to them finally
And be
then
done. Yeah.
move through them
Right.
and not be like struggling with that last piece. And then I gave the ring muscle ups.
How long were you at the rings?
4 minutes.
Okay.
Wow, you finished quick.
Yeah, that is quick. That's good. So there's a tiebreaker in that workout when
Yeah.
you finish the pistols. And so that will be a very common score. Got to the muscle ups, didn't get any. And the tiebreaker matters for that, for sure. So she probably was going to be, I bet if we go look at her score on that leaderboard, she's probably one of the higher scores because of the tiebreaker for that rep count.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah, I got 6 muscle ups at the end. This was definitely my worst workout. It was a struggle. The bar facing burpees for me. There's just so many.
So many in a row.
It just the first 40 I was like, I got this, no problem. And then I get to the 30 round, I'm like, this is starting to hurt a lot. And at 20, by the time you get there, after all the work you've done with everything else, it was just so
forever.
slow.
Yeah. I remember Owen in the group chat said like it's a burpee workout. When he says it's a burpee workout, it's a burpee workout.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good at burpees.
It's your strength, yeah.
And it sucked. I was just thinking about it while I was doing it, and Dave Bogue was judging me, and I really appreciate his encouragement during this one because this was a mental focus one. So when I watch people do it, because I was about an event behind people, I just had to look at their faces and see what they were like thinking or what you could see. And I tried to keep my head clear, and it was just tough because these are not movements that you can't do. Most, like, if you get to this point, you can do an overhead squat at 65, 95. It's just grinding out 50 well, and then grinding out all those burpees. I did the best that I could in it. I think I couldn't. My regrets were, could I have gone faster on the pistols? Yes, but I'd never practiced pistols. I think pistols are really a high skill, like my quad never feels good afterwards.
There's some risk and reward with practicing them.
Yeah, I'm very glad that they did come at the end when I was really warmed up and it did not feel like a problem. And then the same thing with the muscle ups, a high skill movement that I've probably done like 5 muscle ups all year. So for me to knock out 2 at the end, I was very happy. I realized that for me to prep for this, I know where my holes are, and I know what I could do to do better, but I made the conscious choice. And you said this in one of our podcasts before, like, if you didn't practice all year, what makes you expect that somehow you're going to pull it out of your ass during a comp? And I felt that way. I said, listen, this is the bed that I made. I'm happy that I got to where I was with it. And I was happy. Like, I did what I could and within my capabilities.
Good. That's awesome.
How about you?
So this was a workout. I mean, again, so I'm not good at pistols, but I will say this. I've come such a long way on them. Like this time last year, if I looked, I don't know if I would have gotten through them. Just like a bad little knee pain, but also just couldn't work on them. The reason why I don't work on pistols prior to this year much was it was like a risk reward. If I worked on them, my knees would hurt for weeks and then I couldn't, ollie lift. I couldn't run. I couldn't jump. And so I've had a really bad history with them. I don't want to go too deep into that.
No, but do you remember last year? Was it last year with the pistols?
Yeah.
You literally were yelling every time you went down on
the left knee.
I'd never seen that.
I remember Ramsden was judging his wife behind. He would look at me every now and then. I don't even remember. I was hook gripping my hand and I was white knuckling. I guess that's like the entire, because it hurts so much, but you're just trying to do it. And wouldn't recommend it. But it's come such a long way that I got there and I was like, I couldn't wait to get to them. And because I did, my coach Henry Toronto from Crafted Coaching we were on a pistol progression for 49 weeks. Like every single week, there was something with pistols that we were doing. And the first 20 weeks, there were 0 pistols. It was like these, and we tried so many different things that we finally found something like, all right, it's the lateral box step down. Where you're one leg's off the box, you go down to the bottom pistol and you just stand up from there, even though you're kind of getting some assistance. And that was the separator, and just worked on the mobility, stretched my ass off all year. It's like you ask us sometimes, like, would you stretch all year, 20 minutes a day so you can get 2 inches more on a range of motion? Like literally that's it. That's all you're getting. It's not fulfilling. and it works, So the funny thing about that workout, this is so crazy, that I did the workout at 9 a.m., I think, on Friday, and I got done with the muscle ups, and I was like, I felt like I had more. I thought the muscle ups would be tougher than they were. Got down on the ground, I was like, not that tired. So I came back 4 hours later and did it again and shaved 50 seconds off the time, which was worth 40 points. And we just talked about this whole top 30 thing. Like, I'm not a shoe-in. There's only a few shoe-ins in this division. And I was like, I need every point I can get. And so that got me 40 points. And, just for example, if anyone doesn't know how tight of a margin that is, if I didn't do that workout, I would have been in 31st place after the day one. I was in 13th just by redoing that workout. So, and this is where, I've been told for about 7 years, I work out too much, train too much. That's where a lot of volume training helps. Like, I can bounce back. Everyone's like, why would you can't do that again? I'm like, I can. Give me 4 hours, I can do it. It's not bragging. It's not, I'm like fit. It's just like my body is used to volume. And that's what competing is to me. Like we always say, these 4-day comps, it only matters how strong you are on the last day. Whether it's at the top level or this level here, if you can't be strong on the last day, then you have a lot of work to do. So I think that the ability to recover and come in and do it again is, and the only thing I changed was I just went faster on burpees. I also did the 50 squat, so I have a new 50 rep max overhead squat. Is that a thing? It's funny. My first year at CrossFit was 20 rep max. One of my first workouts was in the first few months was a 20 rep max overhead squat at Hoboken, and I couldn't get 95. So it was some progress from there. But
I hope never to test that one again.
Yeah, Bison Watt next Monday. Aaron, can't wait to see you there.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.